What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tabletop Never Stop. Today I'll be talking about the generic skills available to the investigators in Cthulhu Death May Die. This is a bit of a prequel project to eventually doing a video about each individual investigator, but I thought we should talk about the generic skills before we dive into individual skills. So, the 6 generic skills in Death May Die are Brawling, Stealth, Swiftness, Arcane Mastery, Marksman, and Toughness. I basically divide those into 3 spheres: damage output, action economy, and survivability. And some skills do more than one thing. This isn't really so much to say which of the 6 skills is better, because I actually think they're a pretty interesting balance here. But we will talk about how many points we want to put into each skill, because some of them don't need to go all the way to the end of their tree to be very effective. But I think a lot of the fun is trying out different characters and different skills. So the goal isn't here to find the secret combination, like the secret sauce. I think you should take pretty much every investigator on a run at some point. Anyway, here we go. First off, we have Brawling. Initially, Brawling level 1 gives you 1 green dice when attacking a target in your space. And of course, we like green dice. They don't have tentacles on them, so we can use as many of them as we want without anything bad happening to us. Obviously, this is a damage output skill. A lot of what we're going to get after this is stuff that's going to help us fight multiple enemies at once, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. A lot of times we'll be fighting lots of cultists or other monsters like ghouls and deep ones that don't have a lot of wounds, so being able to split your wounds up amongst a group of them is quite effective. Haster in particular can bring quite a bit of small enemies into the game very quickly. And there are plenty of scenarios where being able to hit lots of enemies at once is going to be super great. And that is what Brawling level 2 allows us to do. When you attack, you may target any number of figures in your space, and you split those wounds up however you like. So again, this isn't that useful for fighting, necessarily for fighting larger enemies, but getting to Brawling level 3 actually is going to help with that, giving you 2 free rerolls every time you attack an enemy. So that's actually also a little bit of survivability, because you could potentially reroll your tentacles, keep you in the fight longer, and of course you can just reroll your blanks and potentially get some damage. Level 4 gives us, when you attack figures in your space, deal the full wounds to each target. So this is actually now total overkill probably if we're talking about cultists or any of those weaker enemies. But this does mean that, if there's 2 fire vampires, you can probably eliminate them all with 1 roll. It means that, if you're rolling really well, you could maybe kill a Shoggoth and an Elder One at the same time, or a stage of an Elder One. Brawling at the beginning is a nice source of a little bit of extra damage, and then as we take it down the tree, it really allows us to fight big crowds at once. And it takes us to Marksman. Marksman is a damage output and a action economy skill. Action economy should be pretty clear. You can attack a target 1 space away. A lot of the episode starts with enemies 1 space away from you, so the first thing you can do on your action is just instead of moving into there and then engaging them, you can attack them from where you're starting. So that's quite a great ability. But the big thing I think for Marksman is that you want to push to get to Marksman level 2, so that you can gain 2 additional green dice when you're attacking a target out in your space. Pretty quick access to 2 additional green dice. That's a lot more dice than most of the other characters will be rolling in the early game. Of course, it only works against enemies not in your space. That means you have a total Achilles heel, and you're going to kind of need to rely on the rest of the investigators to keep them off of you so that you can continue to get your bonus. And there's stuff that'll happen, like if a Mythos card causes an enemy to end up in your space, that's going to be a bit of a bummer. Marksmen that are properly backed up by the rest of the team are just massive damage dealers. And of course, there's nothing stopping you from ignoring the cultist in your space and just wailing on an enemy, a more powerful enemy further away from you. Marksman level 3 allows you to attack 1 additional space away, so now you can shoot enemies that are 2 spaces away from you. And then finally, Marksman level 4 is even more action economy, allows you to perform a free attack per turn against a target not in your space. And at this point, we're attacking enemies that are 2 spaces away from us, so you're definitely able to find an enemy to shoot. So this is a really powerful end for Marksman, for sure. Alright, so next we have Swiftness, another action economy skill. In some ways, it's not a very flashy skill. It's not giving you extra dice. It's not giving you any extra defense, but it is allowing you to move around the board quite efficiently. And the reality is, although the end game is, punching Cthulhu in the face, to get to that point, we have to complete tasks, and it doesn't really matter how many enemies we kill. What matters is how quickly we get to wherever we need to go and do whatever we need to do. So Swiftness is actually really good at that. Starting off, you get 1 additional space when you run. So you can move 3 instead of 4. That one's, not super impressive, but once we level up, we get 1 free run action, and that's actually really, really good when we start talking about action economy. Because unless we're talking about a Marksman character, the only way you're really ever going to hit anything is if you move on to it. There's not that many turns where you're not going to want to run at least once. So being able to run for free, giving you, de facto 4 actions every turn is great. Leveling up further, we get the ability to take an investigator with us when we're leaving a space. I haven't really utilized this too much, mostly because I've either been playing solo or with one person, so it's the same number of investigators too. But this is actually also super powerful. And there's a lot of times when you get in an episode, you'll have to go to one side of the board, do something, and once you're done with that, there's no reason to go back there. So if you and another investigator are on one side of the board, you can just grab them and take them with you when you leave. And they're also going to get a benefit from your additional movement as well. So, that's some great action economy that you're actually giving to the whole team, not just yourself. And then finally, the 4th level of Swiftness gives you a whole extra action each turn. And that is including the free run action that you also have. So it means you effectively have 5 actions over the course of a turn. Some amazing action economy. All right, so that takes us to Stealth. So Stealth is a survivability and, of course, an action economy skill. At level 1, you get the ability to sneak once per turn, meaning an enemy does not follow you. Normally, when you leave a space on the board, all enemies on that space will follow you to the new space, which can create some really crazy piles of enemies. The ability to sneak once means that you can get away from enemies. If there's a bunch of enemies on you, you could use multiple actions to slowly get away from all the enemies. At level 2 Stealth, you get to sneak 3 times, meaning you could leave 3 enemies behind. And at this point now, you actually can start to really manipulate the board, because you could run into a space, pick an enemy up, and then move it to maybe a more powerful investigator, or even just out of the way so that other investigators can get past it. So there's some pretty interesting board manipulation you can do with Stealth. At level 3, we get the ability to deal 1 wound to each enemy that we sneak past. So I guess Stealth actually is also damage output. So this skill actually hits all 3 of our spheres. Might have to make a Venn diagram chart for this. Dealing 1 wound's a lot of times not going to do much, but there are certainly going to be times that investigators manage to just miss killing monsters. And so the ability to, just kind of take care of that without rolling dice is actually potentially pretty dangerous. And you could potentially combine this with Swiftness, with those extra moves, to maybe even kill slightly more dangerous enemies without having to risk rolling dice. Stealth level 4 gives you unlimited sneaks, but you actually lose the ability to wound enemies that you sneak past. So yes, there can definitely be more than 3 enemies in a space at one time, but most of the time 3 sneak is going to be sufficient. And I don't think getting unlimited sneak is really worth losing those free wounds. So I don't see much reason to take Stealth to level 4. Alright, this takes us to Toughness. Toughness is our survivability skill. It starts off with level 1, you have 1 free reroll when attacked or rolling for fire. It's actually quite good, against a bunch of cultists, because you get the reroll every time. So there's some nice survivability here. Obviously, being able to reroll without dipping into your stress is quite nice, but Toughness skill only gets more interesting as we go further down. At level 2, you lose the reroll, and instead you reduce wounds taken and loss of sanity by 1 for when you're attacked or rolling for fire. So if an enemy is attacking you with black dice, you can ignore 1 tentacle and 1 success. And the same with fire. When you're getting attacked with black dice, it's going to really reduce the amount of sanity that you take. But at level 3 actually gets even more interesting. Instead, you may reduce wounds taken and loss of sanity by 1 from any source. This is huge. This is protecting you from Mythos cards, from even Cthulhu's ability, once he's in his later stages, to deal 1 sanity damage at the end of every turn to every investigator. That's actually, a lot of times, if you're playing with a non-toughness character and you're fighting Cthulhu, you can start doing the math, at a certain point, you'll be oh, well, I'm going to be dead in 4 turns no matter what I do. And, characters with toughness don't have to worry about that particular aspect, or at least a lot less. And then finally, level 4 of Toughness is, instead you may reduce wounds taken by 2 and loss of sanity by 1 from any source. Reducing all damage you take by 2 wounds is actually pretty significant too. Probably keep you alive from quite a few attacks. I do feel like putting 2 points in the Toughness is a good place to stop, just because you're getting quite a bit of survivability, and you can potentially get some mobility or some damage out of the other skills. But that's Toughness. And finally, we have Arcane Mastery. Arcane Mastery is a damage multiplier, and it's also survivability, as we'll see. Alright, so level 1 Arcane Mastery gives you, when making any roll, you may count 1 star as a success. Quite good right off the bat. You probably don't need level 2 in the beginning because you're not rolling that many dice, so hopefully you're not rolling that many stars. But level 2 allows you to count any number of stars as successes. So if you roll a grip of stars, you'll get all those successes. So these are both just great damage multipliers. These work really well with both marksmanship and stealth. Basically, the more dice you have, the more valuable Arcane Mastery is. Especially if you get like an item early on that's giving you extra dice, putting points in Arcane Mastery is really going to up your damage potential quite a bit. But I think Arcane Mastery gets the most interesting at level 3 because it gives you heal 1 stress for each star you count as a success. Total game changer. Especially when we're talking about rolling lots of dice, you're potentially healing like 2 to 3 or maybe even more stress on a roll, which means that you can spend stress really aggressively if you, because potentially you're going to be getting a lot of it back. So this is survivability, obviously, because you're going to have more, you should theoretically have more stress, so you'll be able to protect yourself more from when you need a reroll or just for spending stress to prevent bad things from happening to you. But also it's a huge damage multiplier also because with more stress you got more rerolls, just look for more damage. And then finally, Arcane Mastery level 4 gets even crazier. So it allows you to count any number of stars as 2 successes each. The damage potential just skyrockets here, because what that means is a green dice that's on its star and exclamation point side is now counting 3 successes, meaning you could kill an Elder One stage with just 4 green dice, which is what late game you're going to have that with potentially more depending on the other skills that you take. Yeah, Arcane Mastery is probably the most impressive late, as far as at the end of its skill tree, is probably the most impressive of all the skills in my opinion. Alright, and that takes us through our 6 skills. There are, with 6 different skills, there are 14 potential matches that could be made, but there is no Brawling marksmanship for obvious reasons, since they're very non-complementary. I think it makes sense there's no investigators with those 2 skills. There's also none with stealth toughness, which I guess also makes sense because they are a little non-complementary as well, because stealth allows you to escape enemies and toughness helps you when you fight them, so I guess that makes sense. As far as great combos for these skills, Arcane Mastery goes really well with both Brawling and Marksmanship. Marksmanship in particular is because with only 1 point of Marksmanship you can get 2 dice, and then late Arcane Mastery gives you just huge potential, like you're rolling all this green dice and then any stars you get are going to be super powerful. Also, Stealth and Swiftness is a fun little ones because you can use level 3 Stealth allows you to deal damage when you move through enemies, and then Swiftness, of course, will give you extra movement and extra move actions. So you could potentially use that in a kind of unique way. And if you consider the fact that dealing damage that way does not cause you to have to roll dice, which potentially cause you to take sanity damage, is an interesting option. All right, so that pretty much covers the 6 generic skills. I hope to soon do the end of all 39 individual investigators, so stay tuned for that. And I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if it was at all helpful, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe. As I just said, I'm planning on doing more Cthulhu Death May Die content, and thanks so much for watching.